What's going on? Welcome to another Peddlers MN video. Today we're going to be giving my 2015 Diamondback Recoil a bike check. Alright, so this bike made its debut on the channel in last week's video where I took it up to Mission Creek in Duluth to do some single track riding. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about this bike. To be honest, it's pretty much completely stock except for the front fork and the front tire. Those are literally the only things I've changed on the bike. So this is pretty much going to be a review of the stock bike. I don't know how much the bike has changed over the years. This model is 5 years old, so it is a little outdated in some regards, but I think generally what you probably get for that same price point with this bike has translated to modern times. Alright, so the frame is a large aluminum Diamondback Recoil frame. From what I understand, and I could be wrong, the frame is the same between this and the higher end model that they have of the Recoil. The difference kind of lies in suspension, drivetrain, and wheels. That was a major selling point for me on this bike because I want to be able to upgrade it, so it seems like there's a pretty clear path on which direction to go to make this a better bike. Alright, so first upgrade is the fork, and that is a Manitou Tower 100mm travel fork. The bike stock originally came with 100mm of travel in the front as well, so I didn't change anything in that regard. The only difference is that this is an air shock, and the one that comes with the bike is a coil shock. It made a huge improvement. The reason I actually waited to do the bike check until after I uploaded the Mission Creek video is because everything that I film on this bike after Mission Creek has this fork on it, but Mission Creek did not. The bike is so much easier to control with this air fork. I'm just not a big fan of the fork that originally was on the bike. I'm not necessarily knocking coil forks, however, it was insane how much easier it was to pick the front end of the bike up too once I ditched all the weight from the coil shock. Like, it was a huge weight saving. It made the bike steer a lot more directly. Undeniably, like, the most important upgrade that I would make to this bike other than tires maybe. Alright, so the rear shock is stock. It is a coil shock. I think it has like 50mm of travel. I could be wrong. I know that the replacement shock is the Monarch one. It's like 190 by like 51 or something like that. Don't know a whole lot about shocks, so forgive me. Not a big fan of the coil shock. It's super heavy. It's super clunky. At this point now, it's super squeaky. I'm very excited to upgrade that over the winter. Alright, so stock for the drivetrain. This bike comes with a 3x8 setup. I'm not sure how many miles this bike had put on it prior to me owning it, but I've put about 350 miles on it. The drivetrain is very well worn out, and I'm very excited to replace it. I'm going to go with either like the Advent 1x9, or I might commit to like a 1x11 group set. I'm not entirely sure, but somewhere in there, it's definitely going to be 1x. It's definitely going to be wide range. Alright, for pedals, these are the stock Diamondback pedals that came with the bike. Honestly, I am not a big fan of them. I actually struggle to keep my shoes locked into these. I'd love to have my Specialized bennies on there, but they don't aesthetically really match it, and I don't want to take them away from the rally. I am going to upgrade pedals. I've been, for some reason, just putting off upgrading this bike since I got it, and I think I picked it up in July. I've just been trying to ride it as is and only replace what's necessary. But with all that being said, I do plan on overhauling it pretty dramatically during the winter. Alright, for rims, I'm running the stock 700C Diamondback double aluminum walled rims. In the back, I'm running the stock Kenda Honey Badgers that come with the bike. These tires were pretty good. Both of them were on the bike when I originally got it. They grip fairly well. The only complaint I really have about them is they seem to wear out relatively quickly. In the front, I am running a Continental Trail King. My plan right now is to also put a Continental, maybe like Race King or Cross King in the back. I'm not entirely sure yet. I love the Trail King. I first used it on the Budget Chubby bike last winter, and since then I've kind of pretty much sworn by it as my at least front mountain bike tire. I'm running the front tire tubeless. I'm honestly not sure if the rim was supposed to be tubeless compatible or not, but I cleaned it up, put the Gorilla Tape on it, threw some sealant in, and it sealed on the first try. And it has a really, really slow leak that I want to deal with over the winter, but it usually holds PSI for like 2 days, and then it'll drop down to not exactly what you want it to be, but it still holds air in it, so it's working. All right, for brakes, I'm running the stock Textron mechanical disc brakes. I believe it's 180 millimeter rotors in the front and 160 millimeter rotors in the rear. All right, the seat post and saddle are stock. I am going to replace the seat post with a dropper post eventually. I honestly actually really like this seat. Originally when I got the bike, I was planning on swapping it. That's kind of how I am with every bike I get. But I haven't actually felt any sort of soreness from this seat, and it's very different than all the other seats I have. I don't know if I would like it as a road saddle, but for what I'm doing with mountain biking, and since I spend so much time standing up, I don't think I have any reason to change it. So handlebars are the stock Diamondback handlebars. I want to replace these just because I think these ones are bent. I've tried like the entire time I've owned this bike to get the stem 100% lined up with the front tire, and I think there's like a slight bend in the handlebar. The guy who owned it before me did say that he crashed it one time, and I have no idea how bad that crash was. I know there's a scratch on the front of the head tube, so I think there's a small chance that these bars are bent. The grips are stock. I don't like them. One thing I'll say is that they're really durable because I was wearing a cast for part of the year, and that cast destroyed the bar tape on my road bikes. It destroyed the grips on the Marin, but it hasn't done a single thing to the grips on this bike that I hate. All right, the stem is stock. It's not ideal for me. I'm not really sure if I want to go with a longer stem or a shorter stem. I've ridden Ben's full suspension mountain bike, and I've enjoyed the longer stem. I think it sits a little closer to home with my roadie background, but the trend for mountain biking right now is to have the shortest stem possible. And since this is a cross-country bike, I think it would benefit from getting some downhill advantage with a short stem. So we'll see what I end up doing with that. Like I said, the bike is pretty much 90% stock, save for the front fork and the front wheel. I'm really stoked to upgrade the bike over the winter. I've put about 350 miles on it this summer. I've taken it to Colorado and South Dakota, and it's been a real blast. Definitely changed my perception on mountain biking. I don't think I would have loved mountain biking as much as I do now had I not picked up this bike. I think for $350 used, I got a really good deal, especially during the COVID bike shortage. So yeah, I'm super happy with it, and I'm pretty excited to see how it ends up performing once I'm done upgrading it. You know the drill. If you like the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should really do that. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. We're going to be going to Colorado, so check it out.